I think, and thank you all for the round of applause for him, because I think what he has been able to do, evidenced by the gathering in this room this evening, is something that is not very small. It should not be diminished in any way. I speak on a number of platforms, as Matthew rightly mentioned, and he would usually say something anytime he's introducing me that I need no introduction. But I see so many new faces tonight, and it's so good and healthy to see that, because it shows that really we have a budding and a thriving class of young people who are interested in the future of Guyana's development, who are interested in where this country goes. And I want to commend all of you for not only taking the time out to come tonight, but also being extraordinarily attentive listeners. Please, yeah, give yourself a round of applause. I want to start off this evening, however, by mentioning a particular quote that has not only inspired me, but has guided me as an individual throughout my professional as well as personal career. And it is emanated from Nobel Prize in Literature winner in 1913, Rabindranath Tagore, a great literary scholar. And he says, everything which belongs to us comes to us if we create the capacity to receive it. And let me just say it again so that you understand the intellectual depth of what Tagore has said. Everything which belongs to us comes to us if we create the capacity to receive it. I speak this evening on seeing and seizing investments, investment opportunities, and I preface and construct my entire advance or proposition here tonight and the advice that I'm about to render from that philosophical vantage point, only to say that you all should not be wasting time. Do not waste time, and do not allow time to run away from you. Life goes about faster than you think. There are three elements of the presentations that have gone before me that have particularly interested me, and I want to re-emphasize those points. The first point is the point of cooperation, and I think that we are on the cusp of a new Guyana. And I'm happy to see so many young people once again in the room, because I think that cooperation in particular is something which will bode well for this country. Not just cooperation in the business community, as my colleague to the left mentioned, but also cooperation in our society, cooperation amongst genders, cooperation amongst ethnicities. And this generation has to be the generation that changes that. The other aspect of it is that through that cooperation, as Cassandra would have mentioned, we need to ensure that we have all hands on deck. It can no longer be the time where we segregate or discriminate or do not allow certain persons at the table, because we have a small country. Our human assets and our human resources are the greatest contributor to economic growth in this country. And therefore, each and every person must have not only a seat at the table, but a participatory role in ensuring that Guyana advances and in ensuring that we preserve the stability, the growth, and the exciting prospects that are about to come. And then the final point that my friend here to the right would have mentioned, if I can surmise it, would be essentially to ensure that you focus and plan. You focus and plan. Now, I know that all of the speakers that went before me advanced from a perspective of entrepreneurship. But I want to say that investment not only structures itself around entrepreneurship, but also investment in oneself. Investment in oneself. The reason why is that there is nothing wrong or unfashionable about being a good employee, about ensuring that you are a competent professional to drive state, to drive private sector, to drive Guyana's economy by logical extension forward. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that, because when one analyzes, it is really that multidimensional construct that would exist in the labor market that really would provide for us to be able to drive the country forward. And so, what I'm going to say this evening is actually a two-pronged method. Firstly, dealing with those persons that are seeking to have a long career, those persons who are seeking to ensure that they are in state employment or in private sector employment, but they are supporting as professionals. But that does not mean that it is mutually exclusive from the skill set that it takes to thrive and to be part of entrepreneurship. And so view them as being collective. The first that I want to say is that as a professional or as an entrepreneur, you have to have a well-honed skill set. And this not only comes from a technical perspective or what we would say as being hard skills. We all know how we go about achieving hard skills. Do your academia, do your certifications, etc. And you understand industry standards and such the like. But soft skills equally form a very important part of that skill set construct. And it is something where being involved in so many dimensions as an entrepreneur, from the Chamber of Commerce, as a lecturer, etc., I've seen that too many young persons do not have the type of soft skills and are not focused on developing soft skills so as to be able to suitably advance their careers. And so that is a very important component of skill set. Secondly, is to ensure that you understand the direction of the economy. Because at the end of the day, we exist in a competitive environment. And one cannot blame ignorance or the absence of information to say that you did not know or you do not know about where we're going. Understanding the direction of the economy, where we are going, what you need to do, whether it's for your investment in yourself, investment in the firm, or investment in an idea, what you need to do has to be as a deliberate resultant of your examination of the economic direction. And so it becomes of paramount importance that you pay keen attention to what is happening on a daily basis in your country. It is not enough to say, I did not know. And as we move forward in Guyana and things become more dynamic on a day-to-day basis, it is even more important that you pay keen attention to that. The third thing that I want to say, and this is perhaps exclusive to those who are planning to be professionals and such the like, ensure that you understand your career path and your career trajectory. But perhaps even more importantly than that is to ensure that in planning your career path, that you cater for failures, that you cater for setbacks, and you not only have a plan B, but all the way up to a plan C, D, E. It is of extraordinary importance because you will fail. You will come across obstacles. You will meet situations that you cannot in no way, shape, or form overcome at some point in time. And it is for that reason that you need to have alternative paths. So every single successful person that you see did not develop what they have by moving in a linear or a positive linear fashion. That is to say that they have consistently moved up all the time. We all have downs, we all have ups. And it's important to understand that, but to ensure that the trajectory that you are moving in is always one that is positive. So those are the 3 points I wanted to mention as it relates to professionalism and as it relates to yourself as an individual. So take those same qualities and also apply it to entrepreneurship and add a couple more. The first, that in that second bracket, if you will, on entrepreneurship, is to understand the oil and gas sector and the energy sector in Guyana. It is not by small happenstance that we hear so much about it. It will, within the next 20 years, within the next 8 years, by 2030, mammoth anything that we have done historically in Guyana, cumulative. And so it is extraordinarily important. I cannot emphasize it enough to understand. In particular, when it comes down to understanding the investment opportunities in the oil and gas sector, you might have all heard about the local content legislation. And Michael, you're at the back there, right? You could take some credit for that. But the local content legislation, particularly in Schedule 1 of the local content legislation, outlines 40 areas that are specifically to be derived from Guyanese enterprises. And those 40 areas are to be amended as we progress along in the Guyanese economic development story. And so continuously paying attention to those 40 areas will give you a strong idea as to where it is the investment opportunities lie. Because even if you do not have a firm that is highly advanced, what is happening in Guyana is that the firms that are highly advanced and highly developed are going to do work in the oil and gas sector, and it leaves an entire gap in the non-oil and gas sector. And so that is important to ensure that you understand what those areas are, because those are the investment points. So it may not necessarily be that you have to jump through all of these hurdles, get all the access to finance, to land, etc., so as to be able to say that you are going to be part of the Guyana 2.0, if you will. But there is an entire economy that is structured outside of the oil and gas economy. And that brings me to my second point on entrepreneurship. Understand the growth sectors that are concomitant to the development of the oil and gas sector. This includes logistics. It includes professional services. It includes construction and infrastructure. It includes agriculture and agro-processing. Right? So it is not to say that the investment opportunities are not there. And bother John Edgell all day. Bother him, because he has the investment opportunities to be able to tell you. And you have to be able to tap in to networks, to government services, and ensure that you do not recluse yourself into some corner and look on and merely be a spectator in Guyana's development. This brings me to my third point, which is to say that networking is extraordinarily important. Networking is perhaps of paramount importance in entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial ventures. It is often said that your net worth is determined by your network. All right, and that's why, Matthew, you have done a fantastic job this evening by not only having us come here to give speeches, but by also infusing an element of networking into this. I have seen, given where I sit from the Chamber of Commerce, I interact with some of the wealthiest people in Guyana. But I've seen something that really has struck me and has rung home to me. That true wealth is good health, but it is also living a fulfilling life. True wealth is good health, but it is also living a fulfilling life. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as you advance in your career, as you seek to build strong businesses, and as we look to drive Guyana's economic growth process, the accumulation of wealth, and the building of a strong Guyana forward, keep in mind yourself, your physical health. Remember, it is of utmost importance to live a fulfilling life. Thank you very much.